Our first principle is going to talk about love. Our culture is definitely confused on this topic. Let me show you some statistics. Someone gets divorced every 10 to 13 seconds in the United States today. 20% of marriages end in divorce within the first 5 years of marriage. 43% of marriages are ending in divorce within 15 years, and that statistic actually goes up toward 50% for couples married 20 years or more. So here's the confusion. Our culture seems to think that love is all about the feelings. So as long as you're feeling in love, then great. Everything's good in marriage and you're committed. But as soon as those feelings change and you feel less of a feeling or less love for your spouse, then our culture would say, cut your losses, bail, get out, and move on.
And that leads us to principle number 1. Let's take a look at what it is. Principle number 1, love is a choice, not just a feeling. Christ shows us how this should work in the Bible. In Ephesians chapter 5, it says this, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing." Now look at verse 27. So the visual here is a wedding, that Christ is presenting his bride to himself, like the bride walking down the aisle. The church is his bride, the people that he's called out to himself. And he says that she might be holy and without blemish. What a great picture. Now maybe you look at this word holy and this looks like a real spiritual churchy word, but really this is a simple word. It just simply means set apart. Christ chose to set the church apart. And this is what we should do in our marriages as well. Let's get practical with this. You should set your spouse apart from your parents. This is a biblical concept. Ephesians 5 again, verse 31, it says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." Now this is a verse from the Old Testament. It's actually all the way back from Genesis, the first book in the Bible. And what it's telling us is this principle is that there's a relationship between husband and wife that is different than any other relationship in the whole world. It's this set apart relationship. It's this one flesh relationship. And that means that husbands and wives should set their spouse apart from their parents when they get married. And even beyond that when you have kids eventually down the road, you should set your spouse apart from your kids. You don't have a one flesh relationship with your kids. It's only with your spouse. This is critical to know in marital love. You should set your spouse apart from other men and women, at work, at school, in the neighborhood, out in the community. There's always going to be temptation to connect intimately with other people, to be tempted to be drawn into relationships with people of the opposite sex. So many affairs ruin marriages. It's because husbands and wives don't set apart their spouse from other men and women. The Bible says that we need to choose to do that, no matter how we feel. And that finally, you should set your spouse apart from yourself, even from yourself, that you put your spouse's needs above your own needs. Now think about this with Jesus. This is how he illustrated this and modeled this for us. Jesus chose to love the church. Jesus chose to go to the cross and die on the cross for the sake of the church. Jesus didn't feel like doing that. He didn't want to do that. He chose to do it. Why did he choose it? Because love is a choice. He loves the church. He loves people. And so he went to the cross and sacrificed himself for his people. And this is a model for us that we should set our spouse apart, even from ourselves. Sometimes we have to make choices that that really don't even make us feel great, but we're doing it for the sake of our spouse, because we love our spouse, because we've made a commitment to our spouse. So set your spouse apart from parents, from kids, from other men and women, even from yourself, because love is a choice and not just a feeling. Now, as a group, why don't you just hit pause right now and talk about some of these questions? Talk about these 4 points. Which one will be, if you're getting married, or has been if you're already married, the hardest for you as a couple? Talk about that for a minute as a group, and we'll see you in the next video.